All right, guys. So there are no valid gappers this morning. Um, both the gappers that are showing up, BTTC and AXIL, are they're low on the average 30-day volume, and that is a criteria that I sometimes will overlook, but on these two, I don't love either of them enough that I'm willing to overlook it. So this stock, AXIL, is one of them. It's just not, like your typical small cap constant fade, little spike, constant fade, sort of thing that I like to see. Like I would like to see like a from the top left to the bottom right, kind of a sloping fade. In the If I was going to ignore the average 30-day volume criteria. I apologize, guys, if I'm talking a little funny this morning. I have there's a medication I have to take that I put under my tongue, and I forgot to take it first thing this morning. I just remembered. I didn't want to forget again, so it's under there for a couple minutes here. BTTC is the other one, which is a little bit more like, hey, that looks like it might be a giant piece of crap that I can short, but let's see what's going on with that one this morning. Yeah, that's what I was afraid with the honestly when I saw BTTC, I figured it had something to do with Bitcoin, but so they've got some news out, which may or may not be valid. Um, Part of the thing I don't like is this huge spike in the past year, which was just in October. So I don't love that. It is gapping up currently to the $9 area, which is a pretty large gap. I might keep an eye on it, but I'm not in love with it. And again, it doesn't meet the 30-day volume criteria. So even with this huge spike day here, yeah. And it's not meeting the 30-day volume criteria by a lot, right? Like my criteria is 500,000 average 30-day volume, and it's at 32,000. So anyway, we're set up for the TQs, and then at the bell here, I will start my my spike scanner. And oh, there's a new one. That's warrants though. You see MPTI. It's funny. I thought this scanner didn't include warrants. So I'll have to double check on that. Not that that's a big deal. I mean, ain't no thing there. Honestly, it's probably I don't mind having not a whole lot going on today. Personally, I'm going to be driving up to through Arizona and New Mexico, and specifically parts of those states that are in the middle of nowhere. I probably won't have service, so to need to time it right so that I can either keep an eye on the stocks that I have open, or to even to close out. I don't know where I'll be at market close today. Probably somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Arizona or New Mexico. So to have to close out positions will be a little bit annoying today. So if I don't end up with any other plays than the TQQQ strategy, I'm okay with that. So probably going to be pretty conservative today. Again, don't love any of the gappers that we're seeing. They don't meet criteria. Um, they're both low on 30-day average volume. So I don't think I'm going to end up playing either one of those. Definitely not going to play AXIL. BTTC is the one that I might keep an eye on. Um, but again, I don't love it. So then what we'll do is we can shut the scanner down and we can Start this guy. All right, so that will scan for spikes. And so we're just going to hang out, watch BTGC, see if that does anything fun. It opened at 895, so I'll put that in here. So our entry would be 985. It would have to spike to, which it looks perfectly capable of doing. Let's just see what the locates would be on this. All right, so expensive locates on a stock that I don't really feel like playing anyway. So that's going to be a pass. All right, well that's pretty easy. So no no gappers to look at. It's fading right out of the bell anyway, so that's kind of nice. Although it's being saved by VWAP there, it looks like. All right, so we're probably just going to hang out. Looks like we're going to be short on the TQs today. Uh, that's already set up, ready to go. That's going to be a 528 share position size, and then we'll just wait for the once the spike scanner starts going there. So basically, this spike scanner it runs through all of the stocks available, grabs their open prices, filters by open price. Um, because I only take ones that open between a dollar and $15, and then it starts scanning for ones that spike 30% from the open and 30% over the last 10 minutes. Um, so in other words, when the spike hits, it has to be also 30% higher than its opening price. So it can't like a stock can't dip down and then spike 30% because it would be below its open price, right? So wow, BTTC just halting down there. That's funny. Uh, so yeah, anyway, that's the criteria on the spike scanner. You can see the other criteria right here. I think there's anything I can't show you here. So the way the scanner works, this is the spike from the open. Um, Really, you could call that like an excursion, not necessarily a spike. It just has to be 30% above its opening price. And then it has to, over the last 10 minutes, it has to spike 30%. So basically, what the scanner does is once it weeds out what stocks it's going to look at, then it scans those stocks every minute on the minute to see if it has, to see if it meets those two criteria. The minimum total volume for the day has to be 100,000 shares. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's a really simple scanner or simple criteria for the trade. Once a stock hits that trade or hits that scanner criteria, then you look for a 1 minute candle to close below um, any previous low. If that makes sense. It's not it's not a setup where I think I'm like doing any any groundbreaking thing. That's a pretty common approach, right? Like in fact, like let's take this is the TQs, but just as an example, if this was the stock and let's say this was the trigger candle here, where it's like okay, it spiked here, um, you'd be looking for any candle to close lower than the previous candle after that, right? So this one doesn't count, this one doesn't count, this one does not count because it didn't quite close below that previous candle. Um, you really actually wouldn't get in until like this red candle here because it's the first one that closes below the previous. Actually, probably it would be this green candle. I'm mistaken because it would be closing below these previous lows. Yeah, it would be this green candle here. Anyway, here we go. Let's get into the TQs. Oh, I missed the button. I missed the button. That's okay. I missed the button and actually got a better fill there. It looks like. Okay. So we're in at 55.19. Our stop is 55.43. So now I just do some bookkeeping. Let's zoom in on the 5 minute chart here to draw some lines. Although I don't love the way this is looking. If you're gonna fade, just fade, you know? So what I'm doing here is just setting an alert for if it hits break even, but man, it's not looking good. Looks like we might just get stopped out here. Been happening a lot lately with the TQs trade. It will it will reverse really quickly on that second candle. That's the way she goes sometimes. Nothing hit the scans yet. So this is interesting. I mean, just something to think about. Um, I love how every time I'm short on the TQs, it tells me my overnight buying power is not sufficient, and it's perfectly fine. I've never had a problem. Um, but just looking at this, like we almost got stopped out. It came within less than a penny of our stop, according to the data there. But this is where if you don't trust a system, now I could still get stopped out here, obviously, right? But I'm just saying, like, okay, what if this now turns around and tanks and turns into a winning trade, right? If you get nervous and you start pushing buttons when you're not supposed to, you likely would have stopped out here, right? Because you're like, oh my God, it's good, it's gonna hit my stop. And so what happens a lot of times with new traders, they stop out early because it goes against them and they just get nervous and they're trying to not take a loss, right? Um, and there's certain cases like this where it's like, man, I mean, it came within zero point 0.8 cents of my stop, which is just silly, right? But sometimes that happens. There's other times where it's going to just barely hit your stop and then reverse and go the other direction. Um, but yeah, at some point, I think you just, oh, there we go. We got stopped. At some point, you just kind of develop a sort of apathy toward it and just go, okay, well, I got, I got stopped. Like whatever happens, happens, you know? And you can't let it affect the rest of your day. Even though I know for like new traders and I mean, I've been trading for I don't know how many years now, but for me too, like this is important to me, right? This is what I want to do for a really long time, and I want to be good at it, and I want to make money that makes me financially secure. Like I'm not a Lambo guy, I'm not one of those people. I don't want to like flaunt all the money I have. I want to be really comfortable and I want to have freedom of time, right? So like this stuff is really important to me. So it's not that I don't care about this trade that I just got stopped out at. I just know it's part of a bigger system, and so I don't let it bother me when it gets stopped because I know that's what this system looks like, right? It has long periods of you're not going to win much, and then you hit home runs when you hit them. So I haven't had a winning trade since the middle of November. So it's been almost a month now since I've had a winner. We can look at this actually. Here's my log, right? This basically it's easy to spot winners on this log because you'll see that there was no entry, which means I was still in the trade from the day before. That's likely going to point to a winner, or most likely at least a stop at break even. It's very rare that I'll hold a trade overnight and then get stopped out. I mean, it would have to just be in such a tight range there uh, to not have either a stop out or a move to break even. It's almost impossible. But anyway, you can see like that was my my last winner was November 12th, the trade that I entered November 12th. Um, and then I don't know if I exited on the 13th, or this one might have been one where I got stopped out right at the bell on the 14th and then entered another trade uh, at the 5 minute mark. So, but anyway, you can see it's been nothing but losses since then. And that sucks. I mean, because the account value for this trade you can see has gone from like 27,000 and now I'm at 25, so I'm down almost 2,000 just from this long string of losses. But that's kind of that's how this setup works, right? It's a low win rate, high risk or high reward uh, to risk strategy. So, all right, literally all we're doing is sitting here waiting for the scanner to show me something. Again, at this point, I'm not in anything. So if I sat here for the next 19 minutes and didn't trade because I'm traveling today, I honestly, that wouldn't bother me at all. It would be better to not have anything on my mind. But also, then you could ask the question like, well, why don't you just not trade today? And it's because like with some of these strategies, if you miss the winner, that sucks, right? Like if I miss the big winner that happens to hit on the TQs, not that I did today, obviously I got stopped out, but like if I didn't trade today and it ended up being the entry that gets you the big winner, there's no jumping in later, right? That's not how the system works. There's no like, oh shit, now it's winning. I should have. You never have another chance to get in at the same price you would have gotten in on. And I know there's other people who are saying like, no, that's not true. You could always get in later. You can always follow the meat of the move and all that. In different strategies, sure. In this one, that's not how it works, right? The whole thing is you need to be in with size with a tight stop so that when you catch those winners, they pay off. And there would be no way to get in with the appropriate size unless you just showed up tomorrow and did what you were supposed to do. So, um, yeah. Anyway, those were just some random thoughts on that. Uh, but that's why I wanted to at least sit this morning, and I'll sit. I'm going to be uh, basically where I'm going is I'm going to a place called Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary in New Mexico. I've got some friends there, and I go there and help out from time to time. This is going to be more of like probably just a social visit. I mean, I'll pitch in a little bit, but I'm only going to be there for a couple of days. I'm mostly going to see my buddies, but I will sit tomorrow. I don't know that I'll hop on live. Maybe I will. It'll be tough because I'll just have my laptop and not my external screens, and um, yeah, I might not even trade the full first 30 minutes. I might just do the TQs trade and then get the hell out of there. But we'll see. But again, trading tomorrow because that's if I miss the TQs and it ends up being a winner, I would I would want to punch myself in the nuts. We can take these off. Don't need those. Got stopped out. Lame. Let's go back to the daily chart. We can look at my swing trading positions. Again, with the Qs, got in on this candle at the close and waiting for either this to hit my initial stop, uh, or close below the 20 period moving average. So at this point, it looks like it would probably, I mean, it would probably hit the 20 period moving average first, but it has to close below that. So it could, if we had like a really bad, if we had, if it tanked from here and then we had a really big down day, it would just hit my stop. Also in the SPY, same deal. Entered on this candle, which is why it's kind of funny. This is just how this setup works, right? You enter on the candle that part of the body or the wick is below the 20 period moving average and it closes above. And then you enter in at the close here And since this is such a tall candle, it's smaller size because my risk is way down here. I probably could go back and test this and just do a certain percent stop rather than the bottom of that candle. But honestly, the numbers were good enough this way that I don't really care. I don't really care. Keep it simple. Sometimes you don't have to overfit your edge, on back tests. So anyway, entered here, still in it, obviously waiting again for this one will most likely close below the 20 before it will ever hit my stop. Now, obviously, the idea is, that you catch a run like this, right? Where like you would have gotten in here, um, because even though let's zoom in on this candle actually. Yeah, technically the low was below the 20, but even if it wasn't, if the day prior has a low below the 20 and then this day closes above it, that's still a valid entry in the system. So, but anyway, you would get in on this candle here. So you'd be in at the close, right, with the stop below here, and then you catch this run and it doesn't close below the 20 until here. Then you'd get in the next day and it doesn't close below again until here, right? So you're taking a pretty good chunk of the meat of those moves there. From this level to here, and then from this level to here, because you get out at the close, right? I should put my vertical axis in the right place too. And then you'd get back in here, right? You get stopped out the next day because it closes below. You get back in here, and then it closes below here, which is basically a break even trade, almost a small profit, right? You'd probably get back in here, take a loss on this one, I'm guessing. Something like that, but you can see how it works. It tries to catch the meat of those moves. It's profitable over time. I mean, zoom out on the SPY and the Qs, right? Like take a bigger time frame. It goes up. Right? Like that's the idea. Yeah, like it's gonna like this it's gonna suffer through a period like this, right? Yeah. You're probably gonna get chopped up. But okay. So what? You hopefully have other trades that carry you through those kind of periods. Anywho, nothing on the scanner yet. By the way, the scanner makes a noise if something does pop when a new when a new ticker hits the scan. It makes a noise. Yeah, this is also we passed on this BTTC, and man, look at the TQs now doing its thing. It's another reason why I don't sit and watch all day because it can get really frustrating because this TQ's play might end up going in the direction in the direction we were in. Yeah, look at it. So we definitely would have been at a break even at this point. We would have moved our stop to break even, but it's hard to watch when it stops you out and then goes your direction. It's frustrating. Uh, and the thing is that this could also bounce and then end up back above your entry at the end of the day. Right. So then you go through all those emotions for nothing. You sit here and you go, oh my God, now it's going away without me. And oh, stupid tight stop. And what if I lose my stop? Or what if you get on all these mental games. And then at the end of the day, you notice that it's above your entry point anyway. And so it wouldn't have been a profitable day. Right. And you went through all of that turmoil that you created for yourself, and it didn't do any good anyway. Right. It was for nothing. Uh, so that is I don't know. It's just you gotta get yourself out of those habits, which takes like it can take a long time, guys. That's a really hard thing to get over. I still get the emotion sometimes. Like when I looked at this and I was like, damn it, it's going in my direction. there's still that initial like gut reaction, right? Of motherfucker, god damn it, look at it go. But you just have to get used to like it's not that you don't have those reactions, it's that they get shorter, right? And that emotion that you feel that's frustrating or missing out. It's not fear of missing out because you know you're missing out, right? Like I know I'm missing out since I was short and now I'm not, and I got stopped out, right? I call it ikimo. I know I missed out. Um, but it just gets smaller. It gets shorter and shorter. Your brain gets better at catching what's happening, and this is all psychology stuff, guys. This is all emotional regulation stuff, right? Your brain gets better at catching what's happening and saying, "Oh yeah, no, 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 this is not a way I want to feel right now because it doesn't make rational sense. This is how this system works. Sometimes it gets stopped out and the trade will go in your direction after you're out. That's just the way it goes. And so, you're just trying to catch the ones that happen to be a home run and they run right in the right direction as soon as you get in. And that's the thing with entries in stocks is that you're never going to get perfect at catching the right entries. In fact, there's some pretty good evidence that entries can be random and it's all about trade management that really gets you your edge. So that's why people say, well, you make money when you exit a trade, not when you enter it, right? Um, anyway, I'm rambling about stuff because there's no action, but that's all. That's what trading really is understanding your system, following it somewhat blindly. There's areas for discretion, don't get me wrong. And I know there are some traders out there, and there are traders that I respect a lot who use a lot more discretion. Their decision making process is their edge, but it's mostly because they've put in the amount of screen time and the amount of work that they've seen patterns over and over and over again, and they know how to respond to them. And I feel like you can do the same thing with data. And I know some of those traders, one specifically who I have in mind, who I love as a trader, and he seems like a really good guy. He would disagree with me on this, but I think you can do that with systems too, because systems, all they do is catch the patterns and they take your brain out of it, right? Um, I mean, obviously, there's money to be made uh, in blindly following systems. Like there's enough people out there doing algorithmic trading that there's some discretion there too. Don't get me wrong. There are times where you have to take a veteran and the veteran says, I wouldn't run this algo right now. And then they shut it off and they realize, yeah, okay, we just saved ourselves a bunch of drawdown. And but sometimes I wonder, you hear those stories, but do you hear the ones where they shut the algo off and then they look back in 3 months and go, motherfucker, we should have kept that algo running because they missed out on money. I'm sure that's happened, but you probably don't hear those stories. Anyway, I'm a skeptical jerk. That's the moral of the story here, I think. Yeah, so BTTC is definitely the kind of ticker that I wouldn't want to be in anyway. Uh, I mean, you get some of this with small caps, but like the halt down on the first candle, the halt up on the second candle, then some fuckery, and then a halt down now. Like, just dealing with all the halt stuff, and that's such a headache. That's actually why I stopped trading small caps for a while because I just got tired of all that. And then sometimes it halts and then it doesn't open for months, and then you have to pay locates for all that time. Um, yeah, it can get really shady. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left for something to happen, and then I'm gonna wrap it up for the day, and I get to do my drive stress free without having to think about the market, which is it's pretty nice. Yeah, there's nothing going on, guys. Sorry, I've been sitting here quietly, but I'm looking up information about headrest adjustments in my car because I hate new car seats and I want to figure out how to how to rig up my headrest so it's more comfortable. All right, I think I'm gonna bail on the stream because there's not likely, actually, it's impossible for something to hit at this point. So I might see you guys tomorrow. If not, I'll be back streaming Monday. Adios.